Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to continue to be your daily advocate. If you're new here or you're not subscribed for any reason, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. Thank you to all of you who have been watching and following me for so long. It truly means a lot, and I'm glad that I can be this person.
Judge Torres granting in part and denying in part motions by defendants Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, Chris Larson to seal some exhibits to previous motions, and more. Torres will unseal an email to Larson and legal memos to Ripple, finding arguments to seal unjustified but granted redactions to Garlinghouse to protect potentially sensitive information in 3 documents. She also ordered public release of docs filed by both sides under seal anticipating motions to seal from other side that never came. Lastly, Torres will allow Ripple to serve reply to the SEC's memorandum of law in support of motion to strike fair notice defense. So here's what John Deaton had to say. Judge Torres' rulings are a great sign for XRP holders. What these rulings clearly show is that Judge Torres favors public disclosure. Ripple can't seal certain documents, i.e. legal docs. Same applies to the SEC. Think ahead. We may ultimately get to see the 63 Hinman emails. And those emails, my friends, will be very interesting. Now, some folks asked some questions to John saying, hey, that's not guaranteed. John said, I didn't say it was guaranteed, but if Judge Netburn holds firm that the emails are not privileged and Judge Torres agrees, the emails should not be sealed. And then someone else asked here, as long as there is nothing in the notes to Larson that are incriminating, and John Deaton said the SEC and the judge have read those memos and already know what they say. If anything in them hurt Ripple's case, sealing it doesn't change a thing. Sealing it only means we, the public, don't get to read it. So I don't think there's anything significant on Ripple's side. I mean, once again, they're not being accused of fraud or doing some sort of illegal activity, but rather it's just, oh, okay, XRP is a security, so you sold an security. But I think we all know now with all the other cryptos, not a security, we didn't have fair notice defense, we didn't have fair notice from the SEC, and the Howey test doesn't apply entirely to their digital assets, and that's the big debate that's happening right now. So this is certainly good, and I think the SEC has a lot more to lose. They have a lot more to hide, and we've been covering it, right, with conflicts of interest from Jay Clayton and William Hinman, and Gary Gensler trying to cover that up, I should say. Now, attorney Jeremy Hogan also weighed in. He said there's only one major takeaway from this order on the Ripple versus SEC case. Judge Torres is getting ready to take over. The next couple months will be very interesting with all the major rulings that are being teed up. So this is ultimately a good sign, something good, and I think more transparency the better, especially on the SEC's part. I think for the most part, we know what's going on with Ripple. We know how much XRP was supposedly sold. Ripple even releases their quarterly report. And we kind of know what's going on there. I don't think there's anything secret unless there's some hidden agenda or something, but that would have already came out. But the SEC has more to hide and they have more to lose here. Now, regardless of this lawsuit, Ripple continues to expand globally and form partnerships and get adoption of ODL, on-demand liquidity, which uses XRP. And they've actually have a new partner, Ripple Modular, partner on easier payments. Payments platform Modular, if I'm saying that right, and blockchain payments firm Ripple have joined forces to offer seamless payments to customers in Europe and the UK. Now, of course, there's clarity in Europe and UK and in many of the Asian markets. The only market they don't have clarity in is the United States, and that is because of the SEC. But it's not only Ripple, it's the entire crypto market with the exception of Bitcoin. So the two companies announced their collaboration in a news release on Tuesday, February 1st, noting that the Trust Payments would be the first company to take advantage of their partnership. Here's a quote: "Together, the two leading fintechs will make it easier than ever for businesses like trust payments to run real-time payments internationally, powered by Ripple's financial technology RippleNet. The company said, with Modular's technology, global businesses have an alternative to legacy correspondent banking and can now make payments into the UK and Europe faster, more reliable, and cost-effective. So once again, Ripple continues to expand, form partnerships with major companies in different markets, in the Middle East, in Europe, in the Asian markets, and so forth. And the more their network builds out with all these different companies and banks and financial institutions and payment firms, the more of those folks will start using ODL. Will all of them use ODL? Of course not, right? So I want to make sure I keep that balance. I don't want to be someone who says, yeah, everybody's going to use XRP. Not everyone's going to use XRP. Will a good amount of Ripple's clients use it? Of course. And a big part of them getting that going is to have that ODL operating in the largest capital market in the world, which is the United States, and having some of the biggest banks in the world, like Bank of America and so forth, using ODL. So this is great, and it's a good sign that they're not letting this lawsuit stop them. They are moving ahead, full steam ahead here. And our friendly neighborhood Wall Street rat, Gary Gensler, he went on Bloomberg spewing the same old lies, and let me play what he had to say here. And if you're able to see this, guys, look at his body language. He was like shaking in the video, and I think that's because he knows he's lying. And let me play the clip of what he's saying here.
If you're a platform and you have 75 or 100 or sometimes 5,000 tokens on that platform, probabilities are that a number of them, and maybe many of them, are what's called a security. And it's Congress painted with a broad brush. And it comes down to this: are you raising money from the public, and the public's anticipating profits based on the efforts of others? My predecessor, Chair Clayton, the agency that I'm honored to chair at this point in time, is going to try to pursue investor protection. And if that means bringing greater enforcement actions, we'll do that. But it would be better to have these platforms come in, work with us, and come under the securities laws.
Now, I don't know how many of you can see it, but he was like shaking a bit. And, you know, we've talked about it. Even Coinbase's CEO, Brian Armstrong, tweeted about it, that the SEC's been acting shady. And we saw Ripple, they've been talking about, you know, they've been discussing with the SEC, sharing information, and then the SEC takes that information and uses it against them, right? They came in and talked to the SEC, trying to work things out. So the fact that he's saying, come on in, you know, people should be very concerned about that, because they're going to gather intel and then they'll shake you down, right? Sue you or try to get some sort of settlement money. And that's the racket they've been running, kind of like the mob, guys. And he is, once again, covering up for Clayton, trying to paint Clayton in the right, you know, lens here, in putting him in, oh, he's an angel, right? He didn't do anything. But we know both him and Hinman have big conflicts of interest. It's been documented and clearly seen. Now, don't get me wrong, it hasn't been proven in some sort of a trial or court or some sort of law situation, but we see the connections, we see the money, and all these things happening. So it's pathetic. It continue to lie. But one thing I do want to call out, and I have to give Gensler credit for, he continues to reference that Congress, this is the laws that Congress put forth. Now, I don't know if that's some sort of signal that this is all a show. I just don't know, but I'm just throwing it out there based on what he's saying. So ultimately, what I've been saying for a long time, Congress needs to act. They need to pass an updated law that gives crypto clarity, avoids the overreach and the heavy hand, and it's a balanced approach where you're allowing innovation to flourish and you're stopping the scams. Because yes, there are scams, and there's scams in every market, right? There's people trying to scam people in the real estate market, in the stock market, and whatever else, Forex and so forth. So just keep that in mind. So he continues his BS, and I don't know if he went on here he timed this knowing that maybe Judge Torres was gonna give this ruling, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go on TV, kind of go on the offense, maybe. But we'll just have to wait and see. Ultimately, like I've said before, I believe Ripple will win this. We need Ripple to win for the clarity for the rest of the market, guys. So important. Whether you love or hate Ripple, doesn't matter. If you're holding Cardano or Chainlink and Solana, whatever else, we need this clarity, because Gensler wants to go after all crypto. We see what he's doing already. He wants to go after stablecoins, crypto exchanges, crypto lending, and so forth. Now, Congressman Tom Emmer, who I've interviewed a couple times, he's been on record saying XRP is not a security. He's been fighting for a Bitcoin spot ETF. Well, he's been, really trolling Gensler on Twitter. I love this. More pressure, more exposure, more calling Gensler's hypocrisy out. He tweeted out today the Ferris Bueller clip where the teacher is looking for Bueller, and he's just like, Bueller, because he hasn't gotten a response to his inquiry to Gary Gensler, and that is, he had tweeted back in December, I'm still waiting on your response to our November 3rd letter asking you to make sense of why Bitcoin futures ETFs are allowed to trade but not Bitcoin spot ETFs. Gensler, radio silence. What type of chairman are you? Why are you not responding to a congressman who's part of a committee that oversees the SEC? This is straight up bullshit. Another example, guys. But we know Gensler, once again, you don't call him Goldman Gary for no reason. He is a puppet to these banks, and he's trying to put up roadblocks and stall things because these incumbent banks are getting disrupted. The money's leaving their pockets and going to crypto and different crypto investment firms. They don't like that, and they would love to be able to front run retail, have Gensler put up a roadblock for retail and go front run and buy up as much as they can, then let Gensler, open it back up, and they're in a position, obviously, to make returns like they've been doing for a long time. So that's what's at play here, guys. But they can't stop the innovation. They can't stop the technology. All right, look at this. A bipartisan bill was reintroduced in the U.S. Congress to eliminate taxes for small crypto transactions. Guys, this is huge. First big element here, a bipartisan support bill. So you have both sides, Democrats and Republicans. Democrats and Republicans don't agree on a lot. We've seen Congress and the government fail many times to act and do things. But the fact that they're coming together here to do this right is awesome. I love this, and it included, folks like Darren Soto, Tom Emmer, and many of the folks who have been pushing for crypto regulations. So the U.S. tax code must evolve to support the growth in the digital economy, and this is from Washington Congresswoman Representative Susan Delbene, if I'm saying that right. And here's the full details on this. The Virtual Currency Tax Fairness Act would exempt personal transactions made with virtual currency when the gains are $200 or less. Representative Susan Delbene and David Schweikert, he's a Republican out of Arizona, she's a Democrat out of Washington, introduced the bill 2 years after proposing legislation with the same name. Guys, this is awesome, and what you're seeing here is the groundwork being laid for us to go simply, if you want to use your Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, whatever, Solana, to go buy a cup of coffee because the price has appreciated and you hold that asset, you can do that and buy small things, within that $200 range. Because think about it, you want to go spend your crypto and you don't want to worry about capital gains and all that for small transactions. What if you just go use it to go buy something? I don't know, a burger and fries or something, right? Why the hell would not make sense for the government to try to hit you with some sort of capital gains or something like that? But this is a great sign and it makes me very bullish. We got these folks in Congress now putting out these bills. And look, this one may get rejected and they'll put a new one in. They'll eventually get there. I've learned that over the years, sometimes just keep putting in the bill in, right? Making different iterations and versions and throwing it in there, and eventually it'll get through. So a great sign here. The Blockchain Association, I've interviewed some folks from there, and they tweeted out, "We're proud to support the Virtual Currency Tax Fairness Act introduced in the House by Representative Delvine, Representative David Schweikert, Representative Tom Emmer, Darren Soto. This approach will allow Americans to easily understand their tax obligations and provide an exemption for small, everyday purchases." Love it, guys. The future is bright. It's a bit painful. We got to fight to get there, but things are moving in the right direction. Now, speaking of the right direction, NASDAQ-listed company Mawson to build a 100 megawatt Bitcoin mining facility in Pennsylvania. I'm going to say it again, or maybe for the 1,000th time, Bitcoin's here to stay. Bitcoin leads the market. Bitcoin is digital gold. It is a store of value. And many companies are investing hundreds of millions of dollars to mine Bitcoin, to put it on their balance sheet. And it starts with Bitcoin. Many of the investment firms start with Bitcoin, then they go to altcoins. So we need Bitcoin to be successful. That is how the market is set up right now. It's not how I want it, but that is the reality of the situation. And we're seeing more money being poured into Bitcoin and the mining of it in the United States. And for years, I've said it to you guys about the geopolitical macro economic battle and war for control of the Bitcoin hash rate. And I said the US was not going to sit on its hands and let China control it. And now, I'm not saying I'm some Nostradamus. I'm just saying I'm looking at things from a game theory standpoint, from a political standpoint, from a superpower standpoint. If you just put your thinking cap on and look at the different chess pieces here, you would see what's happening. The US wants to lead. So it has captured, if I'm not mistaken, the hash rate control. Obviously, the hash rate is more decentralized. It was heavily based in China. They banned it, and now Russia wants to get involved. So we are seeing a move towards crypto and the digital economy, the token economy, and Bitcoin's going to be a part of that. They're going to mine Bitcoin. They're going to have their CBDCs. They're going to have different cryptos, being used for different use cases. So people who are anti-Bitcoin, their head is stuck in the ground, the dirt. They're operating by emotions, not facts and reality of what I'm sharing here with you guys. Speaking of Bitcoin, Munib Ali, who I recently interviewed not too long ago, I'll put a link in the description, co-founder of Stacks. Stacks is enabling smart contracts on top of the Bitcoin blockchain. And on top of Stacks, city coins are being built. Well, look at this. He tweeted out today saying, "We've raised $150 million for a new entity to build the largest ecosystem of Bitcoin applications." I just told you guys, millions of dollars are being invested in Bitcoin. Not only in the mining, but for the building of Lightning Network and different layer 2 solutions. Once again, you could hate Bitcoin. I don't care. That's your emotions. But look at the facts, the reality. And he says here, Bitcoin can be a productive asset and final settlement layer for Web3 apps. He says here, "I'm doubling down on Bitcoin and Stacks. Recent success of Stacks has shown how powerful smart contracts for Bitcoin can be. There is a tremendous opportunity to use Bitcoin as a $1 trillion productive asset and grow the Bitcoin economy. We've barely scratched the surface." He said, along with JP Singh, a Princeton CS professor, "I've started Trust Machines to unlock the next chapter of Bitcoin apps. Building upon the success of Stacks, Trust Machines will build the apps and underlying tech to unleash the true potential of Bitcoin as a settlement layer. Our initial funding comes from Brayer Capital, DCG, Digital Currency Group, Golden Tree, Highvine, USV, and others. Our investors believe in our thesis that Bitcoin is far more than a passive store of value. It can be a final settlement layer and platform for Web3.
So enjoy your day, everybody. I'm always here for you. Leave any comments or questions below, and be sure to subscribe. But thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. Enjoy your day, and I always have your back. So thanks so much, everybody.